Welcome to my viewers. What you're about to hear isn't just a haunted house story. It's not a legend, and it's not a rumor. It's something real. Something that started as a thrill and ended in fear, because sometimes the scariest monsters aren't hiding behind masks. They're the ones you never expected. Let me take you back to one of the strangest and most disturbing nights of my life. For only 2 years, there was this obscure haunted house attraction that would appear every October in a rural part of town. It wasn't part of any theme park or corporate chain. It was one of those pop-up attractions run out of an abandoned building, unofficially called Haunted Hill House. Yes, with an extra E at the end. The name came from a cheap plastic sign, the kind you'd buy last minute from Party City, lazily stuck into the grass near a makeshift parking area. And I use the term parking lot loosely. It was really just a muddy field where they waved cars in with flashlights. That year, its final year, was when my friends and I decided to check it out. There was me, Matt, Michael, and Eddie. We were all in college, and since we had Fridays off, we went on a Thursday night, figuring we'd avoid the big crowds. And we were right. When we pulled in, the place was nearly empty. No lines, no screaming customers stumbling out, just a hollow building with dim red lights flickering in the windows like a dying heartbeat. The woman at the ticket booth looked half asleep. No enthusiasm, just a tired $30. We paid and followed a loosely lit trail to the entrance. There were only about 4 people ahead of us, in line. That's when we found out the twist. They were only letting people in one at a time. We laughed at first. That would definitely make it scarier. Naturally, we shoved Michael to the front. He'd be the first to go in. I was second to last, just ahead of Eddie. Every few minutes, one person was let in. When Matt finally disappeared through the creaking black door, the nerves hit me. I hadn't been to a haunted house since I was a kid. That time, I had my parents next to me. This time, I was alone. Eventually the door opened again. A woman in a tattered dress, her face caked in fake blood and black makeup, motioned me forward. Without a word, she shut the door behind me. I was swallowed by darkness, broken only by occasional strobes and distant groans from the speakers. It smelled like damp wood and old rubber. I walked cautiously through each room, greeted by grotesque props, severed limbs, hanging torsos, fake blood smeared across plastic walls. Actors jumped out from behind corners, through trapdoors, even from beneath the floorboards. And every time, they got me. I flinched. I cursed. I laughed nervously. But then, things changed. I was in a narrow, pitch-black hallway between 2 rooms when I felt something brush against my back. I spun around, startled, and saw a tall figure behind me. I let out a nervous laugh, assuming it was just another actor. But instead of jumping out or screaming, this one started pushing me firmly down the corridor. The air grew heavier. I could barely see. I assumed it was part of the act. Maybe a personal scare thing, but something felt wrong. He didn't speak, didn't snarl, just silently guided me deeper into darkness. Then he stopped. There was a click behind me, a door closing. Silence, total silence. I whispered, "Okay, what now?" But no answer came. Suddenly I felt hands on me, not playful, not theatrical, grabbing, forceful. I shoved the person back and shouted, "Get the fuck off me, dude." Breathing hard, I stood still, trying to make sense of it. "You're going too far, man. You can't touch people like that," I said, expecting the actor to back off, maybe break character. But the silence continued. I took out my phone, breaking the haunted house's #1 rule. The flashlight clicked on, and my stomach dropped. I was standing in what looked like a cluttered storage room, broken props, mop buckets, tools. But that's not what made my blood run cold. 3 feet away was a tall man in all black, standing motionless. No costume, no stage makeup, just a black hoodie, black pants, and a half-face mask. I said, "What are you doing, dude?" But he didn't speak. He just started gesturing. Odd, exaggerated movements like a mime, pretending to be some kind of character. But there was no character, just menace. I found the hallway again, and followed it backward, flashlight in hand, until I came across another actor. He screamed at me to turn the light off. I told him what happened. Told him someone assaulted me. His face dropped. He was just a kid, maybe 17, and clearly had no idea what to do. He broke character and said, "Just keep going that way, you're almost out." I asked about the manager. He told me he was at the ticket stand. I practically sprinted through the rest of the attraction. When I burst outside, my friends were waiting, confused why I came out last. I told them everything. We went straight to the front and demanded to speak to the manager. The girl at the booth said he wasn't there that night. I explained what happened, and she seemed genuinely disturbed. She refunded my $30 and said she'd report it. The next day, a girl from our college posted something on Facebook. She'd gone to the same haunted house that night. Her story was terrifyingly similar, only worse. She had been sexually assaulted. She pressed charges against the attraction's owner, probably for negligence. The haunted house was shut down by the end of the month. The staff claimed the man in black didn't work there. I believe them, but if that's true, how did no one notice a stranger roaming the dark hallways? How did he get in? How did he get away with it? Some people say haunted houses are a safe way to face your fears, but sometimes the real horror isn't the kind you can fake. Thanks for watching. If you found this story chilling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friend. And if you've ever had a real-life scare at a haunted attraction, drop it in the comments. Stay safe out there. Welcome, and thanks for joining me. What you're about to hear isn't just a haunted house story. It's a psychological trip, one that cracked something open in me I thought I had buried for good. If you've ever had trauma come back to life in the most unexpected, terrifying way, then you might understand what I'm about to tell you. This was the first, and definitely the last time I ever set foot in a haunted house attraction. I live in Fort Worth, Texas, where every October there's this massive haunted house event that everyone raves about. It's kind of a local legend. Loud music, elaborate costumes, people lining up around the block to get terrified for fun. Until that night, I had never gone. I'd always found excuses to stay away. But this year, my friends insisted. They said, "Come on, Charlie, just once. You gotta try it." I finally gave in. Now let me give you a little context before I get into what happened. I had a rough childhood, rough enough to leave me with PTSD, not just bad memories, deep, painful trauma, but I'll get to that part in a minute. It was a Saturday, and no one wanted to go into this haunted house sober. My friend Noah offered to host a little pre-game in his backyard. There were 6 of us total. Me, 3 guy friends, including Noah, and 2 of their girlfriends. The vibe was chill, music playing, drinks flowing, joints being passed around. Everyone wanted to be buzzed for the experience. I don't usually smoke weed. It messes with my head, makes me paranoid. But that night, I don't know, I guess I wanted to push my limits, see if I could get through it. So I smoked. Not a lot, but enough. With the alcohol in my system, the paranoia didn't hit right away. I actually felt okay, calm, even. We bought our tickets online and called an Uber. The place was about 20 minutes away from Noah's house. By the time we arrived, I was cross-faded, but still functioning. There was a long line wrapped around the building. The air was cold and electric with excitement. Fog machines spilled mist onto the sidewalk. People were already screaming inside. It was chaos, and it hadn't even started yet. We chatted with the group in front of us. I was smiling, laughing, pretending everything was fine, but somewhere deep in my gut, something was shifting. When we got to the entrance, the bass of creepy music vibrated through the ground. The air smelled like damp carpet and latex. I felt woozy, but I didn't say anything. I didn't want to kill the vibe. The second we stepped inside, it was like being launched into a nightmare. Darkness swallowed us. Screams echoed from every direction. Strobe lights flashed so violently, it made it hard to tell what was real and what was. People in grotesque makeup jumped out of shadows, wielding fake chainsaws and bloody masks. The actors were incredible, too incredible, and I was unraveling. Every loud sound made my heart jump. Every scare made me twitch. I was trying to keep my cool, but the panic was crawling up my throat like bile. The weed wasn't mellowing me out. It was enhancing everything. My senses were overstimulated, my mind spinning in circles. I was no longer having fun. I was in survival mode. Then one of the actors, this guy in torn clown makeup, got right up in my face. He screamed inches from me. I flinched so hard, I almost fell, and that's when I realized I wasn't okay. But the house kept going, room after room, screaming, fog, gore, lights. Then we stepped into this dim room, lit by a red spotlight. The walls looked like rotted wood, and everything stank of rust and something sweet like fake blood. In the center stood a tall man, in a tattered suit and a top hat, screaming some scripted warning about death and despair. Typical haunted house theatrics. But behind him, in the corner of the room, was a man, not part of the act. He wasn't dressed up, he wasn't moving, he was just standing there, and he was staring right at me. That's when the blood drained from my body, my chest locked, my vision tunneled. It was my father, or at least, it was his face. The same piercing eyes, the same cruel, cold mouth, unblinking, soulless. I let out a scream so deep, it felt like it cracked something in my ribs. Everything around me froze. My friends laughed at first, thinking I was playing along, but when they saw my face, how pale I'd gone, how I was shaking, they stopped. One of the girls grabbed my arm. "What's wrong?" I pointed. "It's my dad," I whispered, but the corner was empty. Gone. Just gone. Everyone was confused. Even the actor looked concerned. "You good, man?" one of them asked, but I wasn't. I was spiraling. "I need to leave," I shouted. "I need to get out." Noah led me out, through a staff door, his hand on my back the whole time. He sat with me outside, away from the flashing lights and screaming. The cold air helped a little. He didn't ask for details. He knew enough. I'd told him bits and pieces. Over the years, my dad used to beat us. Me, my siblings, my mom. I was the oldest. I remember everything. He vanished when I was 10. Just walked out one day and never came back. No one ever heard from him again. So why did I see him? Noah said, "It was the weed. You smoked too much, bro. It was just your mind messing with you." Maybe he was right. Our friends came out later, and we went to Wendy's. I tried to eat, tried to calm down. They didn't tease me, not to my face. Anyway, I was grateful for that. I left early, not wanting to ruin their night. Back at home, I collapsed into bed. Between the drinking and panic, I was completely drained. But that night, I had a nightmare. I was back in that red room. My father was in the corner again, but this time he walked toward me. His voice raspy, otherworldly, said, "Wake up, Charlie." And I did wake up. I sat up in bed, and he was there, towering over me, his eyes wide, his limbs bending in ways that defied nature. 9 feet tall, contorted, grinning. It wasn't sleep paralysis. I screamed, loud. My mom burst in, flipped on the light. He was gone, but my blood was ice. I was drenched in sweat, shaking. I sobbed. I saw Dad. That was one of the worst nights of my adult life. I've never smoked again, barely drink, and haunted houses, never again. Some people go looking for fear, because it's fun. But when fear already lives inside you,
haunting you, following you, wearing the face of someone you once trusted. Sometimes the scariest monsters don't wear costumes, they wear memories. Thanks for watching. If you connected with this story, or if you've experienced anything similar, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real stories that linger long after the video ends.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever volunteered to play a victim, only to find out you actually became one? Because that's exactly what happened to me when I took a job at a haunted house attraction last fall. What started as a fun seasonal gig turned into one of the most terrifying nights of my life, one I barely walked away from. It all began when my friend Marissa mentioned that the haunted house where she worked was hiring actors. She said I'd be perfect for it. Dramatic, loud, and not afraid of a little fake chem. Honestly, it sounded like a blast. I loved Halloween, and this place had everything. 3 different haunted houses, a terrifying corn maze, and actors dressed as monsters, murderers, and ghosts. Marissa pulled some strings, and after a short interview with the owner, I was hired on the spot. I was excited, even a little proud. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill gig. It felt like being part of something bigger, theatrical, creepy, and thrilling. My role, a damsel in distress. Classic. I would be tied to a wooden post in the corn maze, screaming for help as guests passed by. The staff made it clear, no guests were allowed to touch the actors. It was all in good fun, and the illusion mattered. But when I showed up for my first night, I realized they meant it quite literally. I'd actually be tied to the post. Supervisor Jeremiah walked me deep into the corn maze to my station. The air smelled like dirt and dried husks. Wooden walkways twisted through the field, lined with fake skeletons and flickering lanterns. Hidden speakers pumped out unsettling sound effects. Screams, creaking wood, distant chains rattling. As Jeremiah secured the rope around my wrists, I joked nervously, "So, how do I go to the bathroom?" He smiled and said, "We do short breaks between waves. Plus, another staff member will be nearby to keep an eye on you." Not exactly comforting. Once he left, I was completely alone, surrounded by towering walls of corn, unable to move more than a few inches. Darkness swallowed the maze around me. Somewhere in the distance, I heard an air horn blast. The attraction was now open. Time to get into character. I began wailing, twisting, fake crying, yelling things like, "Please help me. He's coming back. Don't leave me here." A few groups passed by. Some guests giggled or played along, asking, "Who's coming?" I'd improvise something dramatic in response, and they'd move on. It was fun at first, but then 2 men walked past me. They didn't say a word. Both wore black hoodies and COVID masks, like everyone else. But something about the way one of them stared at me, it felt wrong. His eyes were wide, unblinking, like he was trying to memorize my face. The other man kept walking, but he paused just long enough to look at me, like I wasn't even a person, just a prop. A chill ran through me, but I shook it off. Actors get creeped out too, right? Maybe they were just really into the whole horror experience. About 10 minutes pass. No guests came through. That's when I heard something rustling behind me, not on the path, but deep within the corn. I turned my head as much as I could, heart hammering in my chest, and that's when I saw them. The same 2 men, emerging from the crops, off the designated trail. I immediately dropped character. "You guys can't be in there," I said, my voice sharp, trying to sound firm. One of them chuckled under his breath. They said something in another language, maybe Russian, and then one of them walked back toward the path, but not to leave. He was standing guard. The other one stepped closer to me. Too close. I felt his hand graze my leg, then my waist, then his hand moved higher. I screamed, really screamed, not acting. "Help me. This isn't part of the act. Help, I'm being assaulted." It was pure panic. My throat burned from the screams, but I didn't stop. Finally, a figure came bursting through the corn, a staff member. The 2 men bolted, disappearing into the darkness. They were gone by the time he reached me. He untied me quickly. My arms were numb. I was shaking so badly I could barely walk. I called my parents immediately.
They told me to get out of there. Now, as I left, Jeremiah apologized profusely and said I'd be paid for the night. He told me I didn't have to come back if I didn't want to, but to keep them updated. But the nightmare wasn't over. On my drive home, I kept glancing in my rearview mirror. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe, or fear. That's when I noticed a white car behind me. At first, I didn't think anything of it, but 5 turns later, and it was still there. I turned onto a random street. The car followed. I turned again. It followed. I was being followed. Hands shaking, I pulled up Google Maps and searched police station. I drove faster, keeping an eye on the mirror. The white car never passed me, never pulled away. Only when I pulled into the parking lot of the police station did they finally keep going, casually, like nothing had happened. I sat there in my car, frozen. I waited 10 full minutes, heart still pounding, before starting the car again and heading home. I checked the mirror the whole drive. No one followed me this time. I never returned to the haunted house, and I never will. If this story chilled you, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts or similar experiences, and don't forget to subscribe for more real horror stories like this. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.